and welcome to our Rise and Shine morning program. So today we starting a new program, June being the month of yoga because we celebrate International Yoga Day on the 21st of June. And so today we're kind of doing a little twosome with Raj Yoga and Hatha Yoga. And I'd like to welcome Shalona, who's going to help us along those lines to understand and even practice some of the poses of Hatha Yoga. Shalona, are you there? Okay, so while Shalona gets connected, I wanted to just share with you a little bit in terms of my journey with Raj Yoga and how I saw that the practice of Raj Yoga is something that has really created a deep sense of empowerment. And so I think I was about 19 years old when I first got introduced to the whole process of Raj Yoga. And what it did for me was it allowed me to create a deep focus on an attention that if I want to kind of do something in this world or do something for myself, it wasn't dependent on anything outside of me. And that it really, the focal attention was to actually get to know myself better. It also made me clearly discern that what we get in our lives, what comes into our pathways, are like little triggers and messages. And if we use those, we can actually grow ourselves beautifully. Instead of getting onto what I would say, searching for the right thing, if we start using the different things that comes onto our path, it's beautiful to see how those different little things that come about, they all collaborate to actually create that which helps me to return back to myself. I feel it's important for us to realize that, we're not trying to become something. For each one of us, that authentic self exists, it is there. But for whatever reason, we have either been influenced or affected, where we forgot and had amnesia about who we are. And so we went on the wayside from our real self. And so it was very beautiful that the teaching of the Brahma Kumaris really helped me to focus my attention inward. And instead of finding purpose in the things outside, to actually find that purpose of what it is that I am here to do. And that was really, really beautiful for me. So at this point, I'm still just checking if Shalona is on. Shalona, are you on?
Yes, I'm on, sister.
Can we, yep, there we go. So
good morning, sister.
I also met Shalona because she was, she one day walked into the Raj Yoga Center. So Shalona, tell us your story of Hatha Yoga and what got you so involved.
So the first time I walked into a yoga studio was when I was around 19, 20 years of age. And it was an interesting experience because after that first session, my entire body hurt. I didn't want to go back because it's like every part of my body hurt. And the funny thing about that was that at that time, I was practicing karate. So you would expect me not to feel so much of pain. It was so painful that I was actually literally rolling off the bed to get up. So I didn't want to go back. But there was just something about yoga that I just couldn't give up. After that first experience, after the pain went away, I just couldn't give up. It was just something, I can't explain what it was, but I just wanted it. And for me, my journey was that of healing. So I used to suffer with a lot of anxiety and depression and things like that. And so Hatha Yoga actually helped me, but it didn't complete me in a sense. until a few years ago. Even though I've been practicing Hatha Yoga for so long, I didn't embrace the meditation aspect of it. And so a few years ago, I walked into the Brahma Kumaris and I met Sister Usha, and she actually led me, or she taught me about Raj Yoga, and Raj Yoga is the King's Yoga. So that was exactly how I actually embraced both Raj Yoga and Hatha Yoga.
Sorry, I just unleashed so much noise happening. Shalona, what I wanted to ask you is that, from your experience, can you perhaps share what was the benefit of meditation on the path of Hatha Yoga? How did it support you?
Wow. Wow. Okay, so in Hatha Yoga, we do start off with meditation at the beginning and the end of the session. But I didn't like set that 45 minutes or half an hour just to meditate. And that is when I came to you and you showed me this other aspect of meditation. And I can say since then, the anxiety and the depression is no longer there. And it's just by incorporating both of these together. So I really feel whole now that I have started this journey of meditation, and meditation has now become a lifestyle for me. It's like every morning I get up, the first thing I have to do is meditate. Without meditation, my day cannot progress. It's like I'm missing so much of it. And also meditation, science has proven that the more you meditate, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system, and that enables healing in your body. So I think whoever embraces meditation and practices meditation definitely reaps the benefits of it.
There's one other question I was thinking is that, the poses in Hatha Yoga sometimes can be not so easy in a sense. Kind of like have to kind of stand, and knowing the way you do it, you make us hold those poses for I don't know how many seconds or how many minutes. But the point is that the longer you hold that pose, obviously you were sharing how important and beneficial it is. So how do you find that, the actual poses that you have to hold, how does the meditation kind of help with that? Because one is when you're meditating, you're not doing anything. So how does it help you be activated in a physical way?
Okay. So when you first start off, right? And it is difficult for every person. Like today, we're going to practice tree pose and expound on it a little. So when you start off any yoga pose, it is taxing on the body. Not in a negative sense, obviously, unless you have health issues. But as you progress, your breath is what you ground on. So when you start breathing, yoga is a mind-body connection. So you got to find that breath, you got to find that rhythm, and you got to focus on the breath. And that in itself now becomes a meditative process. So in Yoga Pradipika, it says that Hatha Yoga starts with the body and then to the mind. And Raja Yoga works in the opposite way. It works with the mind, then the body, and then back up to the mind. So both of these forms of yoga come together in a sense within your asana practice if you ground and you focus on your breath. And that is why I always tell my students to breathe and focus, like usually in the intense poses, like warrior pose, I tell them, right, hold the pose, focus on your breath, because when you're focusing on the breath, you're not focusing on the body.
Well, I liked it because once I got her to show me something, because I had an injury which I needed to kind of like ease off. And so as I'm getting into this pose, that is like lifting my leg up so that my legs are 95 degrees to the ground, literally keeping this pose. And as I was doing it, she said, it should be very easy for you because you meditate. So I said, well, how is it going to be meditation? When I meditate, my feet on the ground, not up in the air. But when she said that, I thought, okay, so in this pose, if the practice of Raja Yoga is really about knowing that as a soul, I am the master of my body. So I thought, okay, let me tell myself that I am now using my body in this way to create this pose. And so I focused my attention on just being this beautiful, brilliant energy. And we know that this seat of consciousness is actually where the soul is giving the signal to the body. And even our breathing is connected to the thoughts that we think. So I can't just ease in my breathing unless I think about how to actually do it. And that's all connected to thought, which is where the meditation came in. So I found that for myself, when I practice being so conscious when I have a difficult pose to do, it kind of, like you said, it distracts you away from the pain of the body and it puts you into a really nice space, which actually becomes easier to work with. Okay.
But that's the whole purpose.
Okay, so Shona, tell us a little bit about what we're going to do today. What pose are we doing? Because as an introduction for our viewers and listeners, what we're going to do is that for the month of June, we're going to take one pose a day. We want to connect it to a spiritual virtue, a quality as well, so that as we pose, do the physical pose, we hold even the consciousness of the pose with our understanding and with our thought. And so then to integrate both, keeping focus for our mind as well, but also vice versa, letting the mind help the body remain stable in that position. So over to you.
So for today, we're going to practice Vrikshasana, which is tree pose. So first, we're going to do the pose. Arishka is going to do the pose for us. And thereafter, I'm going to attach a virtue to it. Today, I've decided to attach trust to it, and I'll explain why trust. But first, let's get to the pose. So, Arishka. So Vrikshasana is tree pose. So it depends on your level of flexibility as well and how stable you are. So you can really start at the end. Put your hands on your hips. And you're going to hold that pose. Take the knee out. Or if you are good to go higher, go between the calf and the knee. And between the knee and the ankle, never on the knee.
Shalona, can I ask you to come a little closer? Your voice is breaking up. Okay, that's good.
Okay, so we can come to the calf, or we can go one higher. So we can go above the knee to the thigh, which is the classical pose of Vrikshasana. That's where you are aiming to go. But that all depends on your balance and your flexibility. So the thing with tree pose as well, you got to find a non-moving spot and focus on that spot. So Arishka, take the shoulder blades in. Find the non-moving spot and just focus on that spot. Open the, take the knees more to the side. Just take the knees out, yes. Keep the gaze steady. Keep the neck and the shoulders relaxed. Keep the head relaxed. And gently release. So we're going to go on the other side now. So depending on your flexibility, you can go onto the ankle, the calf, or above the knee. The knee. Hands on the hips, taking the shoulder blade in, finding that non-moving spot. Keeping the gaze steady, relaxing the neck, the shoulders, and the head. And just hold for a few moments, focus on the breathing. And gently release. So that was 3 pose for
Thank you. Thank you, Rishka. So, Shalon, I have one question. I have seen sometimes that when they do the three pose, they kind of put their hands above their head like that.
Yes, you're working with the beginner level. So you can only reach up there if your balance is steady. Because if you go up there, you're going to be more shaky and wobbly. So we take it like one step at a time until you achieve that.
Okay, so the balance maintaining is by just raising your feet and keeping it as long. So at what point do you think you can move from keeping your shoulders down to actually lifting them over your head, your hands?
But it takes constant practice and perseverance. So that is where the trust aspect comes in with this pose. So in life, even when we start off as babies, we fall. When we starting off, when we start walking, we wobble, we fall. But as babies, I think we have this thing built in us that we can accomplish anything, because there's no fear. It's like you fall as a child and then you pick yourself up and you continue it until you perfect it. So similarly with Vrikshasana, if you look at it, when you start off, you are wobbly, you are shaky. And over time, as you practice and as you persevere, you do get it and it becomes easy. You can hold a pose for much longer. And then when you're focusing on the non-moving spot, that also helps you. So how I relate it to my life is that life throws us challenges, irrespective of who you are and what you are. And those challenges can really shake you. But when you stand steady and you focus on that which is non-moving, which is the divine, and if you focus on God, you will know that eventually that challenge is going to pass. Nothing lasts forever. Like after the rain, the sun must come. Just like that, with Vrikshasana, as you practice, you will perfect it. And in life, as you go through your hurdles, focusing on that which is non-moving, which is the divine being, you will overcome. So that is my take on trust, trusting myself, trusting my body that I can accomplish what I want to accomplish, and trusting in God that He will see me through. So that is how the trust aspect comes for me with Vrikshasana.
You know, Shalona, I love the idea that you use the image of a child, that, a child will try anything, they don't have any limitations. Because one of the big things about a child, it doesn't have any memory. But if the child keeps falling and it doesn't recover, and then it starts accumulating hurt, then it starts becoming skeptical. So
Yes.
I think that one of the elements now, if we are already adults and we're in our world already, where we may have already accumulated a lot of pain and sorrow and whatever we might call it, what I understand about the practice of meditation is that it helps me to actually heal memory as well. And so I can actually bring myself to a point where when I renew my own consciousness. And so, like today in our thought card, the point that we're focusing on in terms of trust is that if I constantly, by standing tall and being rooted in the understanding of my uh, authentic self, I have trust in myself and trust in all of creation. And when we can bring that trust into our values, the value of trust gives me a strong foundation. So I'm using that trust in my being to then do whatever I need to do. It gives me permission to be unique. I
Mhm.
have nothing to compare with, to be natural and to be honest. And I think this is a very important thing, and mostly honest to my innate values. And then the last one is that it allows me to be radiant, beautiful, and be filled with wonder. So I think that these kind of elements, which is very beautiful, and I like that feeling, because this morning what I did is that I knew we were going to talk on the tree pose. So I said to myself, I should at least do the pose myself. And I was pretty surprised. The one hand where I had injury, but I took it a little bit further, and I was able to stand for a few seconds with my hands in the air as well. A little wobbly I was, but I did manage. But when I did it, I thought to myself, it's like I just decided that, we're going to talk about this today. We're going to do it. And if I myself don't do it, then actually, what can I share? What can I
True.
actually say that this is real? So I must say to our viewers that, if you can try it, it really is beneficial. But hold this very beautiful, the spiritual insight, that can give us, because it's a little bit like mind over matter, isn't it? And you must
Mhm.
know, I haven't done these poses for a long time. I just decided after I had a shower, I said, like, I'm a little bit loose now. Let me try it out. And it actually was very rewarding. So, Shalona, thank you so much. And I want to now invite us to go into a meditation and just start our day with that positive energy. So, I allow
Thank you,
my
Crystal.
thank you, my dear. So, see you tomorrow. Do you have any closing comments before we go into our meditation, Shalona?
Since this is the month of yoga, I would like to invite everyone to actually, or I would like to advise everyone to actually find the time to practice yoga for the month. And at the end of the month, review yourself and see the difference it makes to your life. So get up in the morning, do your Raj yoga. During the day, in the morning or the afternoon or the evening, sorry, practice, even if it's 20 minutes of Hatha yoga. And in the age of technology, you can get anything online. So if you can just practice that for the month and do a review at the end of the month and see the benefits for yourself. So that's what I would like to say.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Okay,
Thank you, sister.
great. So let's take this few moments and go into our pose of being separate from the awareness of this physical body. And as I become still, being very aware that I, the living being, am housed in this physical body. This body is my costume, my vehicle, but this body also is the seat for I, the soul, and that position is the center of my forehead. So I allow myself to reduce all that expansion of the huge mass of my body and become a tiny point of pure energy seated on the seat in the center of my forehead. And from this position, I'm able to see my eyes, hear through my ears. I'm sitting in that perfect position that is at the heart. I'm able to use thoughts, my understanding, and my innate values to make the right decisions that aligns me faith and trust that who I am, where I come from, and who I belong to is constant, permanent, eternal. And knowing this, I, the spiritual being, take on this wonderful challenge. I take on the opportunity to look at all the situations and challenges of the world, to be my chance to allow those innate qualities to shine, to flourish, to be benevolent in the world, and give an opportunity for that which is inside to become a powerful radiance through my thoughts, my words, and my deeds. Being rooted in that pure awareness of who I am, where I come from, and who I belong to, allows me to remain stable, calm. I use this powerful awareness to be an observer through the various situations in this drama of life. I realize that to experience the beauty of my world, I need to have that deep trust in my own resources. Take away the power I've given to others by depending on them, by making myself become subjected to all the things around me. And as I take my power back, knowing that within me I have everything I need, I am complete, I am enough. And so let me, for the few moments, hold that pose of being tall, deeply rooted in my true awareness of myself, and stretch myself out under the beautiful sun of knowledge, the Creator. And as I allow myself to be secure and safe in myself, I can become that powerful tree in the life of many others, where I can offer the shade that is the coolness of my personality, not reacting, but responding. I can be that powerful tree that has a variety of food to give nourishment. And that nourishment is that in all my interactions, I leave behind a powerful feeling of attainment, that no one goes away from me empty-handed. I bring that image of that tall tree, and knowing that the trunk of I, the tree, has the power and stability to become a pillar in the lives of others. But I know that I can only be that strong pillar if I have no attachments. I am not dependent on anyone, but I am deeply rooted in my own true self-respect and can be stable and strong. So today, let me hold this image and maintain that trust in my own inner treasures. Om Shanti. Have a beautiful day and enjoy this beautiful month of June. Take care. Om Shanti, everyone.